Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Forgiveness is the only gift I give, because it is the only gift I want. Forgiveness is the only gift I give, because it is the only gift I want. And everything I give myself. This is salvation's simple formula, and I who would be saved would make it mine to be the way I live within the world that needs salvation, and will be saved as I accept atonement for myself. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Father, how certain are your ways, how sure their final outcome, and how faithfully is every step in my salvation set already and accomplished by your grace. Thanks be to you for your eternal gifts, and thanks to you for my identity. Thanks be to you for your eternal gifts, and thanks to you for my identity. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm Miracle Willie, forgiveness teacher of the Ozarks. And this one here sure does give us salvation's simple formula. Forgiveness is the only gift I give, because it is the only gift I want. And everything I give myself. Isn't that something? When you forgive your brother, you're forgiving yourself. Forgiveness is the only gift I give, because it is the only gift I want. And everything I give myself. This is salvation's simple formula. And I, who would be saved, would make it mine to be the way I live within the world that needs salvation, and will be saved as I accept atonement for myself. Father, how certain are your ways, how sure their final outcome, and how faithfully is every step in my salvation set already and accomplished by your grace. Thanks be to you for your eternal gifts, and thanks to you for my identity. Well, here on Lesson 297, we're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version, which we just read the whole lesson, here on Wednesday, October 23rd of 2023. Let's go back and take a look at our associated reading for today's lesson, which is, what is the real world? The real world is a symbol like the rest of what perception offers, yet it stands for what is opposite to what you made. Your world is seen through eyes of fear and brings the witnesses of terror to your mind. The real world cannot be perceived except through eyes forgiveness blesses. So they see a world where terror is impossible and witnesses to fear cannot be found. The real world holds a counterpart for each unhappy thought reflected in your world, a sure correction for the sights of fear and sounds of battle which your world contains. The real world shows a world seen differently, through quiet eyes and with a mind at peace. Nothing but rest is there. There are no cries of pain and sorrow heard, for nothing there remains outside forgiveness. And the sights are gentle. Only happy sights and sounds can reach the mind that has forgiven itself. Have you forgiven all your brothers and sisters? Because if you do, and if you are, then you're forgiven yourself. Remember, what you give is what you receive. Everything I give myself. This is salvation's simple formula. What need has such a mind for thoughts of death, attack, and murder? What can it perceive surrounding it but safety, love, and joy? What is there it would choose to be condemned, and what is there it would judge against? The world it sees arises from a mind at peace within itself. The world that we see when we practice forgiveness is a world that arises from a mind at peace within itself. No danger lurks in anything it sees, for it is kind, and only kindness does it look upon. The real world is the symbol that the dream of sin and guilt is over, and God's Son no longer sleeps. His waking eyes perceive the sure reflection of his Father's love, the certain promise that he is redeemed. The real world signifies the end of time, for its perception makes time purposeless. The Holy Spirit has no need of time when it has served his purpose. Now he waits but that one instant more for God to take his final step, and time has disappeared, taking perception with it as it goes, and leaving but the truth to be itself. That instant is our goal, for it contains the memory of God. That instant is our goal, for it contains the memory of God. And as we look upon a world forgiven, it is he who calls to us and comes to take us home, reminding us of our identity, which our forgiveness has restored to us. Wow. And you want to give thanks today? Be sure to do those hourly pauses at the top of each hour or sometime during the hour. And tell yourself today, forgiveness is the only gift I give. And as you're given that reminder to yourself, find something to give thanks for. And he's given us two things that he says today in our prayer. Thanks be to you for your eternal gifts. And thanks to you for my identity. God made you perfect. And learn about yourself. You're wonderful. All the eternal gifts he's given you to spread to the world. Everything I give myself. So spread those gifts that God's given you in your identity so that they can all come back to you. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Okay, let's go back and take a look in our Manual for Teachers reading for today. And it's a little long, not too long, but let's go ahead. It's 3 pages. So let's go ahead and get started. What are the characteristics of God's teachers? The surface traits of God's, it's a section 4, manual teacher. Manuals for teachers. The surface traits of God's teachers are not all alike. They do not look alike to the body's eyes. They come from vastly different backgrounds. Their experiences of the world vary greatly, and their superficial personalities are quite distinct. Nor at the beginning stages of their functioning as teachers of God have they as yet acquired the deeper characteristics that will establish them as what they are. God gives special gifts to his teachers because they have a special role in his plan for atonement. Their specialness is, of course, only temporary, set in time as a means of leading out of time. These special gifts born in the holy relationship toward which the teaching-learning situation is geared become characteristic of all teachers of God who have advanced in their own learning. In this respect, they are all alike. All differences among the sons of God are temporary. Nevertheless, in time, it can be said that the advanced teachers of God have the following characteristics. Now, he's going to list, I think there's 9 or 10, 11 maybe, characteristics. The first one is trust. Trust. This is the foundation on which the ability to fulfill their function rests. Perception is the result of learning. In fact, perception is learning, because cause and effect are never separated. The teachers of God have trust in the world because they have learned it is not governed by the laws the world made up. It is governed by a power that is in them but not of them. It is this power that keeps all things safe. It is through this power that the teachers of God look on a forgiven world. And I just love that. And this is something you really want to nail down and carry through life. Remember, everything's based on trust. All your other qualities that you develop are based on trust. So look what he says here. The teachers of God have trust in the world because they have learned it is not governed by the laws the world made up. It is governed by a power that is in them but not of them, from God. It is this power that keeps all things safe. That one of the gifts of God, is that his power is working in you. It is through this power that the teachers of God look on a forgiven world. You couldn't even forgive if you didn't recognize that power that you can trust in is in you, because it allows you to see, oh, that's just an appearance. It's an imagination. It's an hallucination. It's nothing real, because reality is the gifts of God that are within me that protect all things around me and in me and are in the world. When this power has once been experienced, it is impossible to trust one's own petty strength again. That's learn to trust that power. Just practice forgiveness and you'll learn to trust it, because there won't be anything else you can do other than trust the power that's within you. When this power has once been experienced, it is impossible to trust one's own petty strength again. Who would attempt to fly with the tiny wings of a sparrow when the mighty power of an eagle has been given him? And who would place his faith in the shabby offerings of the ego when the gifts of God are laid before him? What is it that induces them to make the shift? Okay, now this next section, and we're going to read the whole section, is I think there's 6 of them, yes. 6 qualities for the development of trust, or six not qualities, maybe as much as levels that you'll reach, or ways of conceptualizing the world. Remember, he says that we'll change our concepts many times as we're on our way to finally reaching that place where we know ourselves without concepts. Well, in the development of trust, first, they must go through what might be called a period of undoing. This need not be painful, but it usually is so experienced. It seems as if things are being taken away, and it is rarely understood initially that their lack of value is merely being recognized. How can lack of value be perceived unless the perceiver is in a position where he must see things in a different light? He is not yet at a point at which he can make the shift entirely internally, and so the plan will sometimes call for changes in what seems to be external circumstances. These changes are always helpful. When the teacher of God has learned that much, he goes on to the second stage. So this first stage, a period of undoing, these changes, he says, the plan will sometimes call for changes in what seems to be external circumstances. These changes are always helpful. When the teacher of God has learned that much, he goes on to the second stage. So learn that everything that's happening to you is always helpful. It's always helping you along the way. That moves you on to the second stage. And it doesn't have to be painful, but it's so usually experienced. But it doesn't have to be. Paragraph 4. Next, the teacher of God must go through a period of sorting out. So the second stage, a period of sorting out. This is always somewhat difficult because having learned that the changes in his life are always helpful, he must now decide all things on the basis of whether they increase the helpfulness or hamper it. He will find that many, if not most, of the things he valued before will merely hinder his ability to transfer what he has learned to new situations as they arise. Because he has valued what is really valueless, he will not generalize the lesson for fear of loss and sacrifice. Again on that sentence. Because he has valued what is valueless, he will not generalize the lesson for fear of loss and sacrifice. It takes great learning to understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. Well, he says it takes great learning to understand that all things, events, encounters, and circumstances are helpful. So get in your mindset that everything that's happening to you is helpful. It is only to the extent to which they are helpful that any degree of reality should be accorded them. In this world of illusions, the word, in quotes, value can apply to nothing else except to what's helpful. And we can learn that everything is helpful. And the third stage through which the teacher of God must go, this is paragraph 5, the third stage through which the teacher of God must go can be called a period of relinquishment. If this is interpreted as giving up the desirable, it will engender enormous conflict. Few teachers of God escape this distress entirely. There is, however, no point in sorting out the valuable from the valueless unless the next obvious step is taken. Therefore, the period of overlap is apt to be one in which the teacher of God feels called upon to sacrifice his own best interests on behalf of truth. He has not realized as yet how wholly impossible such a demand would be. He can learn this only as he actually does give up the valueless. Through this, he learns that where he anticipated grief, he finds a happy lightheartedness instead. Where he thought something was asked of him, he finds a gift bestowed on him. No sacrifice in God's plan. It might seem like it from the upside-down perspective. And that's what we need to give up and accept God's will, which is really our will. Paragraph 6, which is the fourth period. It's the period of settling down. Now comes a period of settling down. This is a quiet time in which the teacher of God rests a while in reasonable peace. Now he consolidates his learning. Now he begins to see the transfer value of what he has learned. Its potential is literally staggering. And the teacher of God is now at the point in his progress at which he sees in it his whole way out. Give up what he does not want and keep what you do. Give up what you do not want and keep what you do. How simple is the obvious and how easy to do. The teacher of God needs this period of respite. He has not yet come as far as he thinks. Yet when he is ready to go on, he goes with mighty companions beside him. Now he rests a while and gathers them before going on. He will not go on from here alone. He starts seeing the unseen world and sees he's got all kinds of helpers around him. Paragraph 7, the fifth stage. The next stage is indeed a period of unsettling. This is the period of unsettling. Now must the teacher of God understand that he did not really know what was valuable and what was valueless. All that he really learned so far was that he did not want the valueless and that he did want the valuable. Yet his own sorting out was meaningless in teaching him the difference. The idea of sacrifice, so central to his own thought system, had made it impossible for him to judge. He thought he learned willingness, but now he sees that he does not know what the willingness is for. And now he must attain a state that may remain impossible to reach for a long, long time. He must learn to lay all judgment aside and ask only what he really wants in every circumstance. Were not each step in this direction so heavily reinforced, it would be hard indeed. It says that he must learn to lay all judgment aside and ask only what he really wants in every circumstance. Were not each step in this direction so heavily reinforced, it would be hard indeed. And finally, there is a period of achievement. The sixth step, a period of achievement. It is here that learning is consolidated. Now what was seen as merely shadows before becomes solid gains, to be counted on in all, in quotes, emergencies, as well as tranquil times. Indeed, the tranquility is their result, the outcome of honest learning, consistency of thought, and full transfer. This is the stage of real peace, for here is heaven's state fully reflected. From here, the way to heaven is open and easy. In fact, it is here. Who would go anywhere if peace of mind is already complete? And who would seek to change tranquility for something more desirable? What could be more desirable than tranquility? What could be more desirable than this? This is the stage of real peace, achievement. Okay, well, let's take just a minute. First stage, the period of undoing. Second stage, the period of sorting out. Third stage, a period of relinquishment. Fourth stage, period of settling down. Fifth stage, period of unsettling. And the final stage, sixth period, is period of achievement, where peace is certain. Even in what seem to be, in quotes, emergencies, you realize, oh, it's just an appearance. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on around the world. Today's the last day of the Jewish holiday of Sukkot, and it actually tomorrow will begin Shemini Atzeret, a spiritual holiday of what you've learned in your 7 days, I expect, of camp meeting with God and your brothers and sisters. Find all these things on Drexel University and Holidays and Observances. Event Organizer Day, International Print Day. Of course, when I think of printing, my grandfather, Bernard Julius Hebank, went by BJ, was a printer. Born in Indian Territory in Oklahoma. Down by Chickasha in 1906. iPod Day, it's when Steve Jobs' company Apple released the first iPod on this day in 2001. Medical Assistance Recognition Day and Paralegal Day. So you people that help your doctors and people that help your lawyers, well, happy Medical Assistance Recognition Day and happy Paralegal Day. Boston Cream Pie Day, Canning Day. Probably doing a lot of canning if you're trying to get all your things out of the garden right before your last frost. Let's see, Croc Day. You know, there's 23 species of crocodiles worldwide. The Crocodilus is the genera. The evergreen crocodile is the Acutus. Mole Day, a mole in chemistry. It's a unit of measurement, and it's the number of atoms found in 12 grams of carbon-12, the most common carbon molecule. Slap Your Irritating Coworker Day. Don't do that. You might go to jail. Instead, let that feeling to want to slap your irritating coworker, let it remind you of your lesson today, which is what? Forgiveness is the only thing I give because forgiveness is the only thing I want. And everything I give myself. So you're going to slap them, slap yourself instead. And then remind yourself, oh yeah, I got to wake up. Wake up, Will. Do your practice, your meditation for today. Every hour of the day, practice it. And it take a longer practice in the morning and the evening where you settle in and be still and quiet and let God's gifts come to you and show you what to do. Swallows depart San Juan Capistrano today, October 23rd, is about the day. It's not always this day. Matter of fact, it's changing a lot. Did you know in 1950 there were 23,000 swallows, and now it's down to less than 1,000? and that's mainly from habitat disruption. And you know, when insects die out, which they've drained a lot of that swampland down there, and they've taken a lot of trees out to build homes, and all that reduces the insects, and all your plants that need, or all your higher life forms like your swallows, need the insects. So learn to be happy with the insects. Don't try to kill them all. The swallows that are the Capistrano swallows, they're basically a cliff swallow, and they go down to Argentina. They thought it just was Argentina, but they find now that they go into Brazil too. And that variety is the Petrochilodon pyrohonota. Pyronota, maybe? Anyway, that's your cliff swallow, the San Juan Capistrano. They return on March the 19th or thereabouts. And TV Talk Show Host Day. And green oakleaf loose leaf lettuce out of Seed Savers Exchange. And it says of the green oakleaf loose leaf lettuce in here, it says that reportedly known as Baltimore or Philadelphia oakleaf in the 1880s, this lettuce is now called by the more geographically neutral name and enjoyed by many, the green oakleaf. It withstands hot weather, never tastes bitter, now, that'd be a nice thing to have, and has an excellent quality that extends even into the late summer. Loose leaf, 50 days. Okay, and our word for peace is from the Gothic extinct language now. The Goths were from Scandinavia, and they settled down in Europe. And the word for peace in Goth is Gawairpi. Gawairpi, I think. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Because it is the only gift I want. And everything I give myself. This is salvation's simple formula, and I who would be saved would make it mine. To be the way I live within a world that needs salvation, and will be saved as I accept atonement for myself. Father, how certain are your ways? How sure their final outcome? How sure the final outcome? And how faithfully is every step in my salvation set already? And accomplished by your grace, accomplished by your grace. Thanks be to you for your eternal gifts, and thanks to you for my identity. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Because it is the only gift I want, and everything I give myself. Salvation's simple formula. Gawairpi. Forgiveness is the only gift I give. Gawairpi.